Be diving in 3, 2, 1.
Biomutant is a frustrating game. It's frustrating to make yourself play through and to review. Because while the game is very visually and musically striking, and clearly ambitious, in the end it's just entirely devoid of richness or meaningful content. The premise of the game is that pollution and the destructive activities by humanity have caused an extinction event. The pollution ends up mutating or evolving many of the remaining mammals, causing an ascension of a new dominant form of life on Earth. Alongside these new civilized species, there are also less intelligent bestial fauna that now roam free across the land. Among these monsters are 4 behemoths named World Eaters, at the roots of the central tree of life, which now sustains the world. You must make your way across this newly overgrown world, fighting, looting, and developing your character, to dispatch these 4 World Eaters to save the Tree of Life and the Earth from a second apocalypse. Simultaneously, you'll work to unite the various squabbling tribes of intelligent mammals. It's kind of like Skyrim's main plot. The other central objective is the confrontation of Lupa Lupin, a monster who attacked your village, killing your parents in the process. The only aspect of player agency and choice in the whole process occurs at the beginning, when you choose between 2 starting tribes with contrasting philosophies. The warlike Jagni, who wish to directly subjugate the other tribes and destroy the Tree of Life, and the diplomatic Myriad tribe, which wants to save the Tree of Life and unite the tribes. The problem is that the Myriad tribe wants to accomplish unity effectively through direct conquest, repeatedly reassuring the player that there just isn't any other option. On the other hand, the Jagni also effectively has you fight the World Eaters. Even though they purportedly want to destroy the Tree of Life, it's the same questline, and both factions' philosophies are contradicted by the gameplay. The unification storyline doesn't truly impact the Save the World storyline anyway, but in order to accommodate that storyline, it also doesn't make sense internally. Even if we decide to just run with the lack of cohesion, the core message doesn't seem to connect. It's generic to the open world genre. Fight for this beautiful world and save it. Counteract the destructive forces that have led the Earth to its breaking point. You have to break the vicious cycle, all the selfish expediencies and historical lack of care and lack of understanding. At a certain point, in the middle of the game, you confront Lupa Lupin for killing your family and destroying your childhood home. You learn through this confrontation that it was actually your mother who killed Lupa Lupin's mother in condemnation of her carnivorous nature. Witnessing this act, Lupa Lupin bided his time, grew up, and exacted revenge on the main character, so that you would have to grow up with the same turmoil and destructive need for revenge. The monologue is super over the top.
It's always been about survival, and that our true self is being who we are. A deep look into nature will make you understand everything better, and that natural selection eliminates, and the strongest survive. Fate is for those too weak to determine their own destiny, and now the time has come for you to accept yours.
Wanna know why? I have a dream. The weak will be purged, and the strongest will thrive, free to live as they see fit. They'll make America great again!
What the hell are you talking about?
I think the game is trying to ambitiously link the need to overcome the harmful history of a world dying from pollution with the process of overcoming the protagonist's own personal trauma. You can't fight fire with fire or perpetuate a destructive order. You have to be the bigger man. The game's simple concept of good versus evil boils down to destructive acts versus conciliatory acts, reinforced and signaled explicitly by light and dark sprites. The game dives into its concept through memory sequences, triggered whenever you run into a random, large, lantern-wielding, mystical bear mouse. Here you relive awkward, memory-based fight sequences against childhood bullies. each concluding in the narrator providing a ham-fisted musing on the nature and importance of memories.
We all have things in our past we wish hadn't happened, and can come to remember seeing and doing things that never happened. It's hard to shake these memories and their accompanying feelings. Our brains play tricks on us, so it will take effort to avoid them. However, there's no doubt that what you remember makes your future different.
His musings imply how memories are unreliable, and that your present mental state and moral attitude can likely influence how your mind selectively interprets these memories. Your past will necessarily influence your future, but you still have a significant amount of choice in the present over how you choose to interpret and process your past. I think these are truly interesting musings, but to make such bold and specific claims about the nature of memory, the influence of the past on the present, and the present on the past, which then feeds back into the present, these are lofty ideas that require significant development. Here they just feel like feverish musings that were shoehorned out of nowhere, no development leading into them. They will note that your past makes you who you are, and you can't really escape it. But it really is what you choose to do in the future that is of consequence. One immediate problem is that the game doesn't have any real choice, nor any consequence. There's only one way that the main character can progress. It's a linear storyline in a game trying to be about choice thematically. But we've touched on that already. That isn't the biggest problem. A bigger problem is that the themes aren't built into the game world, or into the narrative. It's just spoken at you explicitly, often in drawn-out spiels that take you completely out of the flow of the game. You don't have any experiences which develop these themes. There's nothing to make you grow attached to the world you are supposed to save, or its inhabitants, which all sound the same and say exactly the same things. You can make the decision to do good, and the light sprite will appear and applaud you. Sometimes you actually don't need to do anything. You just choose the dialogue options that sound nice as opposed to the uncaring one after you've already saved a bystander. Nothing actually happens in-game as a consequence if you choose good versus evil. I really like the themes that Biomutant is going for. That you can break harmful cycles to save the world. It's cliché, but clichés can potentially ring true if properly supported and delivered in a way that's original enough to feel compelling and genuine. Another game built around the concept of ending harmful cycles is Mass Effect. Mass Effect did a really good job of conveying this theme and tying it into its use of Paragon versus Renegade system. You can seek instant gratification and be expedient, or you can be a goody two-shoes. Put in the extra work and you can build a better future. These nicer, more diplomatic approaches typically require more menial effort, but that effort always pays off later, with the game communicating over time that every bit counts. If you were Renegade, you missed out on the chance to develop connections to your companions, and you often wound up unprepared for critical moments, resulting in their deaths. If you were Paragon, you formed more satisfying connections, and were successful in preservation and preventing loss of life. It's still overly simplistic and predictable, but at least the game never beat you over the head with forced tired monologues about right and wrong. In Biomutant, there are no payoffs. You put in the extra work and you get congratulated verbally for doing it. There are no real consequences, no rewards, no agency. The entire game feels like a chore, and is both thematically and mechanically very repetitive and empty. The breadth of customization and the sheer quantity of content may appeal to you if you want a casual experience. If you want to be able to jump in and not really think about the game, just clear areas, spam leaping lice, kill NPCs, get more loot, rinse and repeat. The quantity is there for cheap achievement hunting, but nothing beyond. The game seems to be ambitious, but a lot of polish, revision, and thought is needed to make an ambitious vision come to fruition. And it just isn't there for Biomutant.